All right, let's get started. The first one is from Husson A. Hello, fellow movie lovers. Like Robert, I'm really into James Bond. Read this post that showed an explosion on the set of the movie has injured a crew member, stopping production yet again. I'm not really one to believe in curses or anything, but yo, is this movie cursed? It's starting to feel like it.
I mean, I get why we were coming from, because like even before they started shooting this Bond film, it ran into so many pre-production problems, script issues. Then the director who was on board suddenly departs. All the discrepancy there. Then the start date gets pushed off. Then they finally do start shooting. James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, suffers an injury, has to go get like minor ankle surgery or something like that. And now an explosion. Now, the way the official Bond Twitter described it, and I won't read it ad nauseum here, but basically it's like, hey, during a controlled environment test of a special effect, there was a little bit of an explosion. We were testing explosions, though, and there was a minor injury involved. Well, okay, that's great. However, the local news there, The Sun, they wrote it a little bit differently, and they wrote it like this. The Sun reports that the crew was testing out a stunt involving a fireball in a laboratory when the accident occurred, which resulted part of the roof and numerous wall panels in the complex were taken out. The crew member was crushed, a body part. They're okay. They're going to be okay. Was crushed by part of the set as he stood on a ramp outside of the building. A source that spoke to the outlet described the event as utter chaos. Now, in the official thing that said there was a minor incident, blah, blah, minor injury. Here's the studio. The walls got blown out, and apparently one of the dudes was standing outside there and got hit by one of the pieces of the wall falling out and landing. And apparently they're going to be okay, which is great to hear. It's good to hear. But you know, it's a sobering reminder that when you're making these movies, there's a lot of complex moving pieces and things can go wrong. I mean, this isn't, I look at this, I don't know why I look at this picture and I think of Chernobyl. I shouldn't. I've just got Chernobyl on the brain right now. Anyway, Rob, with all the pre-production problems, with all of the production problems, and now we're sitting here with studios blowing up and crew members getting hurt. Are you ready at this point to say that James Bond 25 is cursed?
No. No, and I want to point out, first of all, Neil Corbold, who's the special effects supervisor. And when I say special effects, I mean true special effects, not visual effects, but special effects, on-set explosions, things like
Practical effects.
Practical effects is one of the best in the business. He has decades of experience doing this. And I want to point out this was, in fact, a test. And sometimes things go awry. But the James Bond sets have traditionally been some of the most, well, the safest sets in Hollywood over the last 50-plus years. So, you know, while this is unfortunate, I think when they say it's utter chaos, it's not utter chaos. When they're doing these controlled environment tests, it's pretty locked down. I mean, they're all about safety. They, you know, sometimes, you know, you're dealing with explosions. It's not like you can make them do exactly what they want. But judging by the fact that a wall blew out, perhaps they used a little too much.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think it's cursed.
I like utter chaos, though. I mean, the phrase isn't bad because this is a still frame from a video. And as the camera panned around, I mean, it's emergency vehicles and people going all over the place. It did look like a little bit of chaos. And this looks like more than just a little minor mishap. Apparently part of the roof was blown off as well. Yeah. But, you know, it reminds me, Rob, this is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of the Game of Thrones Starbucks coffee cup thing, where our friend Kevin Rubio pointed out, he goes, the surprise isn't that a coffee cup got left on set. The surprise is it doesn't happen more often because there's so many people on a set, so many moving pieces, so many things going on that, and when you're talking about visual effects heavy films where there's a lot of practical effects, people doing wire work, tons of heavy machinery moving around, it is shocking to hear and seeing walls exploded out and people getting injured, yes. But I almost feel like it's the same thing. It's almost not a surprise. It's amazing that it doesn't happen more often. You're talking about the professionalism of these people who coordinate and look after this stuff with all the huge number of people on these sets, with the huge machinery and moving pieces, sometimes explosions and effects going off. I think it's a bit of a testimony to the industry as a whole that these sorts of things don't happen more often than they do, because if I was running that set, it would happen a lot. I'm the guy who actually didn't put a cup of salt into a Kool-Aid pitcher that I was making instead of sugar. So imagine the chaos that I would cause on these sets. So anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that maybe there's a little bit of a curse going on with the James Bond set? Yes or no? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Of course, the bottom line here is the person who was injured is going to be okay. That's the most important thing here, of course.